So I made this video to answer some questions out there on people who might be on the fence about getting this handheld gaming device and to go over some of its features as well. With that said, I'm not going to get into all the gritty and finer details of the device. Other channels with much more resources can do that. I'm going to go over it from a simple approach, meaning I'm going to go over some things while not really getting into the details of it, while trying to tackle it from a point of view of a retro gamer. Now before I go on, I know the name of the device is the ROG Ally, which stands for Republic of Gamers. But for my preference and throughout this video, I'm going to be calling it the ROG Ally. Why? Plus it rolls out the tongue a lot easier. So what is the ROG Ally? It is a handheld that is labeled as a gaming device but can be used as a full-fledged PC as well. The market recently has been flooded by these powerful portable gaming devices thanks to the continuous advancements of these powerful CPUs and GPUs getting smaller and smaller. Now I'm not going to go over the full specs, but I will post them here and you can pause and look them over. They are straight off the Asus website. There are basically two models here, the one with the regular Z1 processor and the one with the Extreme Z1 processor. If you're gonna do light retro gaming without much focus on AAA games, then the base model with the standard C1 will do just fine. This is the model that I got, and I'm gonna go over it in more detail in a bit. The Z1 Extreme is the model for you if you want to go with the likes of, say, I don't know, Baldur's Gate 3 and other modern games. The difference between both processors, from what I have read, are very noticeable. The pricing difference between both models varies only by about $200. Not a lot for what can separate you from playing modern games versus only retro or older console type games. So let's go over the actual physical device. Here's the Nintendo Switch next to my ROG Ally to give you an idea of the size of the device. Oh wait, what? Oh, you don't have a Switch? Oh, okay, well, give me a second. Here it is next to the original PSP. It is 11.2 inches wide and 4.5 inches tall, with the screen being 7.12 inches diagonally and 6.5 inches wide. The width is just 0.6 inches. It is hefty though.
That's what she said.
Let me just say this, okay? It looks heavy, especially when you first get your hands on it. When you pick it up, it feels very lightweight, almost alien-like. The look and the weight don't coincide. Trust me. The ergonomics of it and holding it in my hands, I can say that, you know what, it is a comfortable fit and never feels like I have to make any sort of special effort to hold it at a special angle or in some sort of special way to keep from getting hand cramps. It also has a somewhat rough texture, but I say that in a good way, as it keeps the handheld firmly in grasp without feeling it like it's rough to the skin. The ROG Ally, a smooth gaming experience that will leave you with smoother hands. By Asus. Now, I know that I said I wouldn't go over all the specs, but I will mention that both models come with only 512 gigabytes of storage space. I mentioned this because storage size will affect another functionality for the device, which I'm going to mention in a bit. If you get the high-end model, then I think it's safe to say that the 512 gigabytes of SSD storage will not be enough. While those who get the device for retro gaming, like myself, this might be enough for the majority of things that we will play on it. But there might be instances where you might need a little bit more. Now, here's where the problem comes in. If you use the micro SD slot that is located right here on top of the unit, you will see it is clearly right above one of the two exhaust CPU ports. If you are playing a game that will cause the CPU to run high, the temperature over time will damage the micro SD card, supposedly. So if you use your card to store your games or ROMs or anything else for that matter, you run the risk of having the card possibly fail. This is a huge design fault that will make or break the decision for many possible consumers out there. I have been to Reddit and other forums to see if this issue has been resolved either by Asus or some type of a workaround that was discovered by a user out there. Some have posted that the units manufactured after July of 2023 had some kind of a copper shield added around the SSD slot. You can check the date that the ROG Ally was manufactured here at the bottom of the unit. Some out there have also pointed out that the ROG Ally is not actually heating up or cooking the card, but rather that the reader is just a dud and the card will still work on other devices or might have to be reformatted to get it working again, meaning the SD slot is corrupting the cards instead of physically damaging them. Again, I am not stating this directly, but rather am just going off by what others have posted on forums online.
They all lie.
But to get a high-end model and spending $700 to have such a design flaw that is still not widely regarded as fixed is a huge eyesore for Asus. Because if you get the high-end model, that means you will be playing the high-end games, which means you will need more space, which means you will need to use the SD card slot, which will probably be damaged as the high-end games will cause the CPU to run hotter, causing the exhaust to become basically a portal to hell for your micro SD.
You will burn in the fiery hells and Asus will do nothing about it. Deal with it.
The workaround that most out there are falling back on is upgrading the .M2 SSD to the max allowed by the ROG Ally, which is 2 terabytes, which is a nice option when compared to some other handheld devices. But that means that you have to pay for a new SSD, transferring the contents from one drive to another, and of course opening up the device, which most out there will not be willing to do on their own.
Go ahead, make my millennium.
You can also take the SD card and insert it to another device to see if it responds. Sometimes formatting it will get it working again, but that does not get Asus off the hot seat for fudging that design up. One of the main reasons I got the ROG Ally was not only the capabilities of it, but the operating system behind the device, Windows 11. Now granted, Windows 11 isn't exactly tailor-made or optimized for touchscreen usage, but it isn't a deal breaker. The fact that you basically have a handheld PC is not a new thing either, but it is a feature that for people like myself give us a huge incentive because whatever you can do on your desktop is now on your fingertips on the go. Through the Asus Armory, which is the software that comes with the unit to consolidate your gaming needs under one roof, I can run Steam as well as Game Pass effortlessly. Both have worked without any hiccups whatsoever. The only setback, once again, will be storage space.
Eventually you will need to use me. You want this, don't you?
Another small setback here is the resolution. The screen boasts a beautiful 1080p picture, which by itself just sounds perfect. And you know what? It is. However,
oh, you are starting to piss me off.
The extremely small objects, folders, fonts, and so on will be an issue clicking on accurately if using the touchscreen feature instead of using the right stick for mouse control. Either lower the resolution to make things bigger or get a stylus.
That's what your wife said, but change stylus with vibrant.
In all seriousness, this is a full-fledged PC. You might have to tinker a little bit with some of the regular settings on the emulators and controls to get things working just as you would on your regular desktop. Here is a quick tip though that will make things a lot easier. This button right here on the left side of the screen is used to launch the control center. You see the setting right here? Change it to gamepad. By default, the ROG Ally comes with it set to automatic, meaning the software will try to determine and swap between gamepad and desktop modes to accommodate usage. Do not let it do this.
Your mother plays Tiger LCD games in hell.
Change it to gamepad mode before you start to set up your emulator settings. Otherwise, the emulators will think that you are using a keyboard and mouse for controls, and trust me, you don't want that. Having it in gamepad mode will disable the joystick mouse mode, making it a full touchscreen device at that point. This is how I have it set up, and I have no problem with it whatsoever. Because, other than gaming, I just use it for streaming Netflix. Ha! You thought I was gonna say Hulu, right? Perverts. The control center options can be tweaked to your liking inside of Armory Crate. Playing Smash TV using both joysticks took a little bit of tweaking on the main settings, but oh man, what an awesome experience when I got it working to perfection. The joysticks do have LED lights around them being turned on by default, but I just choose to turn them off to save battery life. Speaking of the battery life, I'm gonna get to that in a few minutes. The D-pad on this thing is a problem for me. It works fine, don't get me wrong. It has the 4 directional sides on it, but as you can see right here, they all slope down towards the middle. My thumb will slide to another side and it happens frequently for me. Why is it so hard nowadays for manufacturers to just make, a damn decent directional pad, just something ordinary? Even Nintendo, who created and popularized the freaking design, can't get it right on the Switch. Look at this. My Xbox One controller comes closest to having a decent directional pad. The buttons also have that slight sound of clicking when pressing them. It doesn't bother me that much, but I'm not gonna lie when I say I wish they could have placed some kind of a gel or padding underneath them to keep them just a little more quiet. Same for the left and right bumpers, a little too clicky for my taste, but at least the back trigger buttons are softer and silent. There are also 2 back buttons that can be used to configure for other functions if needed. And you know what? They are also a bit loud when pressed, unfortunately. The Ally has 2 well-placed speakers on each side in the front and offer a very loud feedback experience. I have yet to crank it up to 11 for fear of destroying my eardrums. They are loud though, very loud, but if for some reason you choose not to use them, it does have an earphone jack on the top part of the unit, next to the SD slot. And now for the battery life. Now I'm not going to post here the model number of the battery, the specific type of wattage that it uses or anything like that, because nobody cares about any of that. The only thing we care about is how long does it last with real-time use. Let's take a look. First, I checked how long it will last just doing very low consumption activities like streaming. Netflix people. Fine. I watched Chunk the Groundhog on YouTube. I'm a big fan. What can I say? On 50% screen brightness running non-stop with screen resolution at 1080p running at 120 Hz, I got 4 hours and 53 minutes. I hit the stopwatch on my phone at the exact moment it went into hibernation automatically with 3% left on the battery. Next step, I left brightness settings the same but changed the resolution to 720p and brought down the refresh rate to 60 Hz, but I had it running Redream the emulator to see if the battery life diminished a lot or if it didn't. I got 5 hours and 36 minutes before the battery reached 3% and went into hibernation. So let's see what playing Baldur's Gate 3 on all minimum settings on a non-Z1 Extreme model looks like. Frame rate isn't too bad. The battery life, you know what, it's not that bad, but if you're gonna play AAA games or even that one single quadruple title game, the battery life won't last long. So the unit you see here I got on Best Buy as an open box for $360, and when it arrived it barely looked used. It looked pretty new to me. The box and the contents all looked brand new. So if you're thinking about getting a ROG Ally and just trying to save a little bit of money, open box items are not that bad. I have yet to use the micro SD card option, and you know what? I might never get around to using it since I have read so many complaints on it. I do plan to upgrade my ROG Ally to a 2TB SSD in the next few months, so I can totally opt out of the SD card issue. And if you're into retro gaming like I am, then storage space might not be a problem. Plus you can do other things like stream, Netflix and stuff.
You are such a liar. Let's look at your search engine history.
You can even add the ROG XG mobile dock to add even more power if you need it. But then you're talking about adding a $2,000 expense, so at that point I would just say get a powerful laptop or desktop. I mean, I would. The design overall is great. The control layout and their functionality work flawlessly, and I wish it would have other colors instead of just white, but the battery life and storage issue with the micro SD might turn off many out there from purchasing this awesome device. However, coming from a retro gaming point of view, I think the ROG Ally is great. It runs all my software great with almost none or very minimal tinkering on my part. It runs Game Pass and Steam without any issues whatsoever, so I'm not tied down to just 1 or 2 gaming services. I haven't tried other services like say GOG or Epic Games, but I don't see why they would have an issue. Being mostly a retro player, the 512GB storage is plenty for me right now, and the low power usage means the battery life on it is plenty for me since I am looking at an average of 4 to 5 hours playing time. Whether this is the right gaming handheld device for you is something that you need to figure out by reading up on it and other handhelds currently in the market, and there are lots of them. Hopefully this video provided some insight that might help you in your decision, whatever it may be. So until next video, keep watching and keep gaming. Thank you for calling Asus. My name is... How can we help you? Oh, hi. I recently bought a ROG Ally. I'm sorry, ROG Ally. Oh, okay. How can we help? Well, I think my Ally device is evil. Oh, man. Not again. Please hold. Wait. What do you mean again? Wait, hello? God damn it. Thank you for holding. My name is... I hear you got a ROG Ally. Congratulations. Yeah, more like an evil ROG Ally. What? Sorry, an evil ROG Ally. Oh, right. Why would you send out a batch of evil devices into the market?
Believe it or not, it happens more often than you think.
That explains a lot.
But we got a fix for it.
Can I get a refund?
Is that a real word?
Are you serious?
For you.
What?
Like I said, we got a fix for these devices, guaranteed.
Fine. What's the fix?
There is a hidden option on the command center. Open it up. Hold down the two back paddle buttons at the same time, and then say Aces Rocks.
Come, are you serious with this?
Just do it.
Aces rocks. Oh shoot! What the heck? This new thing popped up on the screen.
Sentient mode.
Yeah. How did you know?
I told you. Now, change it to not evil.
Okay, done.
And there you go. Now your ROG Ally is as good as good.
Okay, is there a fix for the SD card reader?
Well, have a nice day and thank you for choosing Aces. We roll.
Hello? Hello? Son of a...